Hey, this is Jo here. I'm the co-founder and festival director of Celebrating Sexuality Festival, and bringing you this video today. Shortly I'll introduce our 2018 presenter, Siren Vandoll. So I'm very excited to be speaking with her today. So she's just waiting to speak to you and talk to you about her workshops, their workshops, and what they are presenting during the weekend. So, if you're watching, give us a thumbs up. Also, if you have any questions during the interview, please do just post them below and we'll come back to them and respond to them later on Facebook. You can also email us on info@celebratingsexuality.com, and also you can read more about Siren Vandoll on the website with www.celebratingsexuality.com, and then you can navigate to the 2018 festival workshops. So I also want to let you know that over half the tickets have sold. So if you're thinking about coming, now's the time to make that decision before the tickets sell out. I like to keep limited numbers on site. I don't want the workshops to be overcrowded, and but I want there to be, as we say, a festival atmosphere. So there will be a good community of people there. But yeah, I just don't want you to have an experience where you can't get into a workshop necessarily. And the workshops we've got on offer, we have over 25 workshops, and they're exploring all different aspects of sexuality, or really using different mediums to explore. So there's workshops that are kink-based, tantra-based, BDSM, and some that have kind of a mixture really of different sorts of lifestyles that you can include. There's discussion groups as well. So the workshops sit as experiential with some information, and then there are discussion groups which are based literally around a discussion where you can hear with a facilitator, and you can hear more about what other people's experiences are and learn from them. So the purpose of the videos that I've been bringing you over the last few weeks is because of the number one question that I get: what happens at the festival? And, as I've said, it is a retreat with a festival atmosphere. And so, all your food is provided, beautiful food, and as I said, with the workshops, so there's there's a limited number of people on site and in the workshops. But then in the evenings we have entertainment, we have DJs, we have some comedy performance, rope performance with Avalon and Jenna. And so just an opportunity really just to hang out and meet a wide variety of people from lots of different backgrounds. Some people are single, some people are in a relationship, and those relationships can have different, they may not look like the relationship that you're used to, or, just have different, whether they're poly, or the people are in open relationships, or sometimes we have people who are in a relationship and they come by themselves. And so there is that wide variety. Age groups as well. So we're an 18 plus event, and we do see, we see people across the board from all different age groups. And, I think the youngest, was 18, but our oldest person that we've had, I think, was 80. So that was, so we do welcome people of all different backgrounds. Really what we ask is that, that you're interested in exploring more than just a hedonistic experience, that you're looking for something to learn more about yourself and how you relate to other people, as well as having fun and meeting new people too. So, as I said, this video is about helping you to understand some more about what happens in the workshops. So I'd like to introduce to you Siren Vandoll. I'm very happy to welcome you today.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good.
Having a lovely morning up here in Newcastle. Yourself?
Yeah, yeah. Well, Melbourne's actually sunny, so that's
Oh, wow.
a
Is that
really
allowed?
good thing. Yeah, I know it's sunny, but it is cold. So,
Oh, gosh.
but we're getting to that point when I don't have to wear a scarf and I feel a little bit naked when I go out. So.
Yeah, just like open throat exposed to the world.
Exactly. Oh. So, Siren, what I'd like to do, I was just going to introduce you properly by reading your bio. So I've got here, so Siren is, and so I'm going to read this because I can't memorize all of them, unfortunately.
Oh, no, please. I barely remember it.
That's awesome. Okay. So, Siren Vandoll is an Australian sex educator and consultant working to empower people through education, creation, and advocacy. She collaborates with individuals, groups, and organisations and companies to promote sex positivity, share knowledge, and promote inclusivity. With a background in activism, not-for-profit education, facilitation, and communication, Siren now integrates these skills into her work in the sexuality sphere. Siren offers workshops, coaching sessions, community development, media engagement, guest speaking, PR, marketing for sexuality-related events and brands. My gosh, you're busy. Sex platform.
Yeah, that's why I say consultant, because education and consultant, I'm like, yeah, if you have a thing, I'll find a way to do it.
And more. I've got and more as well. Siren's strong sense of empathy and unabrasive charisma allow her to create safe and comfortable spaces that promote authentic self-expression, healthy curiosity, and sensual self-empowerment, allowing attendees to connect to the material in a shame-free and liberating manner. While her extensive range of knowledge and practical skills ensure that participants leave with the tools to enhance their sensual lives, relationships, and sense of self. Thank you for joining me today.
No, thank you for having me. Very excited to be back.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm excited too. So this is the second year you'll be presenting at Celebrating Sexuality Festival.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Last year it was like diving into the unknown, and this year I feel more grounded, more prepared, and I'm sure it'll be an equally but different kind of magical experience.
Yeah, it is every year is that little bit different, I have to say. It's kind of interesting. The dynamic that we have changes every year a little bit, and I think that's a lot to do with all of the presenters who are coming, and so there's some like yourself who are coming back again, and we also have some new ones as well, and it offers a different feel for sure, with and also that sense of familiarity as well, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, like summer camp.
Yeah,
got some new kids coming in, got some old pals. I'm excited.
Yeah, totally. And so, like, for the weekend, you've got some exciting workshops planned for us. So I'm looking at building your communication toolkit, the reality of understanding and exploring sadomasochism, surrender, hold, and command, power and emotional dynamics, and physicality. So there's some really juicy stuff there. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
It was great. Going in last year, I submitted sort of existing workshops that I already had because I hadn't been and I didn't know the vibe and that kind of thing. So this year I was able to sort of tailor it specifically to what I felt would work in the sacred sexuality, in the celebrating sexuality space. So yeah, I'm so excited to bring like something tailored for the event.
Awesome. And so tell me a little bit about the Surrender, Hold and Command workshop. So what's the basis of that?
So this workshop's about how we convey power dynamics through our bodies, essentially, and how we manifest emotion in our bodies. So that in this context, it'll be sort of skewed towards sexuality, obviously, because we're at a sex camp, but the concepts translate through all these other areas of our lives as well. We sort of inhabit different postures and different tensions and different positioning in terms of how we are relative to other people, depending on what our intention is, what our emotions are, how safe we feel. So this workshop is sort of a way to explore that in a fun, playful way. Sort of like you can come as a couple, you can meet someone there, and it'll still be a valuable experience, I hope.
Yeah, that's one of the things too, isn't it? Because it is that some people do come by themselves and some people come with someone. And I've noticed too, though, that, that people also have that opportunity to work with other people in the workshops too. So that's...
Yeah, definitely, which I love. I love that this one can either be about how you're using your bodies in relation to each other to sort of build sexual tension or reinforce like a kink dynamic or something like that. But it can also be just learning to be conscious of how we hold ourselves and how we're positioning ourselves makes people around us feel, which I don't think is something we talk about a lot in terms of body language and consent and intention and that kind of thing. So for someone who isn't, say, in an active sexual relationship with the person they're doing the workshop with, they can still go through all the activities and all the movement. It's sort of like half social psychology, half, well, let's do thirds. A third social psychology, a third like theatre camp activities, because that's where I grew up, and a third sort of kink, sensual embodiment work. So it's sort of like a fun mismatch and people can pick and mix.
Yeah, and that's something that, that's something that I want for the festival, is that people can make a choice over what it is that they want to welcome in more of. And so, and with that, with having those different dynamics, there'll be something in there that perhaps people don't have used very much and have not been sure how to incorporate it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really allows you to sort of learn on the fly, but in a safe way, ongoing communication and negotiation. So we sort of will go through different dynamics and emotions and those sort of things. And some you'll feel really comfortable and really safe, and others you may not want to share with that person at that time, or maybe somewhere you feel more vulnerable than you usually would. And we'll be working through how to communicate that and renegotiate boundaries as we're going through the activities, which I love, how that harkens back to consent being the theme of the festival this year.
Yeah. And so with the reality of O, so tell me something about that as well.
So I'm very excited for this because usually when I teach BDSM stuff, it's sort of very literal skills or it's very entry level. This is sort of a midway between, where I'm just trying to find the right one. Yep. Through my notes. So I've seen kink addressed at a lot of sexuality events in my time, on a whole spectrum of levels. And we often tend to get caught up on the specific skills and that kind of thing, which are obviously really important and keep us safe and help us have more fun. But what I really nerd out about is, I call it spiritual in my case, but it can be the connection or the philosophy, I guess, behind kink. And that applies to everything. But I am particularly passionate about sadomasochism, which is obviously which is the exploration of pain, both giving and receiving, for pleasure or whatever pleasure looks like to the individual. So this is a mix of skills and sort of like an introduction hands-on class to the S&M side of BDSM, but it also sort of goes through the history a little bit because I'm a nerd. Some different philosophies around sexualized pain, some, I guess, ways pain can be really cathartic, or ways we can use pain to sort of channel different emotions and intentions. and reinforce dynamics and those kind of things. And also some safety stuff that we don't necessarily talk about enough in BDSM, in my opinion, in terms of understanding how powerful hurting someone or letting someone hurt you consensually can be. So yeah, we'll go through a bit more safety and just a more nuanced view of sadomasochism, I guess, while I nerd out about kink philosophy.
Oh, sounds amazing. So, I mean, it is, you know, it is the kind of interesting in terms of like what people think. I mean, we've got 50 Shades of Grey, for goodness sake. I mean, and so there's a lot of curiosity out there, and that's one of the things too. Just reading about it or watching a Hollywood movie is not actually going to help you, because I mean, we already watch a movie and it's edited and scripted, and there's all sorts of stuff that and slick as well when they want to be slick.
Yeah,
and, it's not
a big part of this workshop is acknowledging and communicating to people that, unlike you see in movies or in the sort of the social zeitgeist, a lot of the time you don't instantly love super hard crazy pain. You may never, and that's completely valid. But there are skills, and it's a skill to learn masochism, and it's a skill to learn sadism. And we'll sort of go through the process of how you explore that safely without unintentional damage.
and there is that opportunity for people coming into the workshop to, if they find that they're curious and they want some information, there is that opportunity as well. There's always that, that allowance there for people to go where they want to go and to sit back where they feel they need to sit back.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've really thought about the interactive parts of this workshop, because I've been to other sort of introduction to SM classes before where sort of everyone just gets handed an implement and you have a bit of a free-for-all, and that's a type of workshop that exists, and there's something to be taken from that. But as someone who's sort of spent my entire adult life in this world, I want to try and give people the opportunity to explore and stuff, but in a way that I feel is responsible and safe, and not throwing people in the deep end with implements that require high levels of skill, with high margins for error. So there'll be different opportunities to try a whole spectrum of sensations, but they'll be done in a safe, consensual, as much as you're willing to or happy to explore kind of way.
Awesome. We've also, as I was talking about in the intro, because we have workshops which have an experiential component like we've just talked about, and then we have the discussion groups, which the discussion groups tend to be a slightly smaller group of people, and and an opportunity where, in this case, you'll be the facilitator and you'll open up some discussion. And the topic that you're looking at is building your communication toolkit. So again, without spoilers, just an idea of the kinds of lead-in for that, and what sort of direction is that discussion taking?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is inspired by the really amazing connection I had with my discussion group about polyamory last year, which my discussion about polyamory is 90 or probably 75% a discussion about communication skills. And so this is a chance to sort of open that to people regardless of their relationship orientation, because good communication is something our society doesn't really teach us as children or adults. And I think there's a lot of unlearning that a lot of us have to go through in order to become better communicators in our relationships, regardless of that sexual or romantic or friendships or anything like that. So this is sort of a discussion group where we'll talk about our experiences and where we learn our communication skills from, where that's sort of challenged us through our lives. And then throughout, I'll provide some of the tools that I bring up in my work and in my personal existence. which are all based in sort of either therapy or relationship theory or social psychology and those sort of things, to that people can, the thing is, nothing works for everyone, and we're sort of given, in a lot of life, we're given this sort of like one tone narrative for everyone, one size fits all. And the idea is this work, this discussion group, hopefully participants will be able to walk away with a range of skills that they can pick and choose to explore and try in their own relationships. Some things might really resonate with you and some of them might squid you out completely, and that's fine. But knowing they exist is half the battle.
Yeah, and I think that's, it's a great starting point to also, it's not even just the starting point, it's like for people to be able to hear from other people about their experiences is, comparing learning by yourself, learning from, the internet or reading a book, compared to working, and then the next level up is working one-on-one with someone like yourself, and then there's this next level as well, which is learning in a group setting. Yeah. So, and in this case, hearing other people's experience and, the benefits of that. I mean, first of all, that we're not alone, which it's very rare that we're the only person who's had that experience, but that doesn't serve to diminish that for that person at all. It's about, hearing other people, and then there's some information about, how you can move through that.
Yeah. So I never like to bring up people's feelings without giving them a direction to take that in. Just that's in my work. There's lots of places for sort of cathartic expression and that kind of thing, but I like to have people sort of share their experiences and then be like, okay, here are some tools that you may be able to use if that happens again. In that group setting, I think it's really great because you have a bigger sample of experiences. When I work one-on-one with someone, we're drawing on their experiences and my experiences in that conversation, which can be really valuable and helpful, and I offer coaching. But in that group experience, you not only get the knowledge from my relationships and your relationships, you have the knowledge of the relationships of everyone in that room and the experiences of everyone in that room. And that's invaluable.
I mean, and you mentioned that people can reach out to you for coaching, and that's part of why I have people like yourself who are actually doing this work on a regular basis. It's not something you're just turning up for the weekend to share a workshop, which is, can work. That's absolutely a way to do it. But what I do really appreciate is that if people have questions after the workshop, they can get in contact with you and ask a question, and it may lead to some other work that they want to go into more deeply. But there's also on our website, which I'll put the link below as well, there is, you can contact Siren. It's www.sendsiren.com, and you can, get in contact, outside of the festival as well. So that's an opportunity, and that's something that's important to me, because I know that this weekend is highly transformational. I know that people come away from it with feeling more grounded in themselves, but also with some more work to do, because I feel it's not something that I have to, break the news to people. It will be transformational. There will be a lot of learning.
Absolutely. I sort of went in the headspace of, I'll do the workshops and stuff, but I felt like I went in the headspace that I was there in work mode and as an educator, and I walked out completely with my core shaken a little bit in the best possible way. And it's really influenced a lot of the choices I've made this year. And yeah, I think as long as you go in with an open heart and a willingness and an ability to control your own boundaries, and explore your boundaries, it's so powerful.
And that's something too, like I'd say, like a question I've asked our presenters as well. What would you say to somebody who wasn't sure about whether they were going? And that's really kind of, as long as you're willing to, explore your boundaries, and you're willing to want to just have an open mind and an open heart. It is a potentially very powerful weekend. That then with the presenters that we have there, you're all doing workshops and sessions, so that's amazing. And so it's interesting too. So what brought you into doing this kind of work, like to be an educator? So I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot, like a lot of us, we've been through a particular journey to come into this kind of work, but it was like then there's that step over into, I feel it's a step over into actually being there to support other people.
Absolutely.
It becomes not about ourselves anymore, it's about helping others. And was there a particular thing that a transition, or was it over time for you?
That was definitely a transition. Sexuality has sort of always sort of been my main passion, even when I didn't want to acknowledge it. I, all through my teens, I would read, not even in a seeking erotic stimulus way, but just in a like a sex nerd way, would go through and like read any article, watch any documentary, read any book. Like, I was just hungry for information about sexuality and relationships and this whole spectrum of things. But I sort of pushed that. I didn't really consider that much. I was that friend in my group when people needed sex ed. So it was always there. But my career path when I left school was to go into international relations and development, and sort of work on anti-poverty campaigns and those sort of things. And I worked in that field for a while because at my core I really wanted to help people. And in my 18-year-old head, that was the most efficient way to do that. And I really cared about it, and I'm really passionate about it. But sexuality was always there. I became sexuality officer at my college at uni, where I got to sort of do peer outreach. And then I got involved in the queer department and the women's department. So it just sort of started snowballing. When there was a political change, and AusAid, the organisation I was really passionate about working for, was abolished. I took a year off uni just to sort of reassess. And in that year I got asked, I'd been in the BDSM community for 3 years, something like that, and sort of had a reputation for being a good person for newbies to talk to, because I would explain things and respect boundaries and that kind of thing. And from that reputation, I got asked to teach a BDSM workshop at the Australian Queer Students Conference, which I did. And as soon as I did it, I just had this profound feeling of, oh, okay, this feels right. And I remember the friend in Melbourne I was staying with at the time, because it was at Monash, who I'd been at uni with, turned to me over dinner and was like, in 4 years of knowing you, I've never heard you talk about politics, and we talk about sex every single day. And yeah, from there I just sort of got invited to teach at other places, and that was almost 5 years ago, which is a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just feels right, and I love that it's a totally valid, powerful way to help people. Especially in a society that raises us with shame and fear and like inherent baggage around sexuality. So being able to work with people to sort of align their lives more with that their values and their inner, their selves, their actual selves.
Yeah.
Bit of a long one.
That's why we do.
I like helping people.
I'd love to hear about it, and I think that people watching will really appreciate you sharing, that experience of how you came to do what you do. Because there are people who have gone on from the festival to teach as well, like to do education and training around teaching and sexuality, and certainly, in the time since I've been running the festival, I've seen this real shift in terms of education around sexuality as well, and more people engaging as well, and wanting to be, wanting to learn from people who have experience and are also teachers, so they're there to teach and help people to find their self-expression, how they want to express themselves through their sexuality. It's a
something I try and carry through all my work is not being prescriptivist. So there's no should, there's no you have to, except for things like consent, because like that's a different issue. But in terms of whether that's relationship styles or sexuality and those sort of things, if people are consenting, I'm so against prescriptivism, because it's that idea that we all have this really unique combination of traits and desires and wants that one size fits all is ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. And so, is there anything that you're in particular looking forward to about this November?
Oh, all of it. The food. The food was so good last year. Just being in this space, I felt like I'm thrilled about all of it, but there was something so transporting about from the moment we sort of arrived on at the venue and set up, the combination of being in nature and the people and the opening evening and everyone being there with this amazing open energy and willingness literally felt magical. And I'm not like a woo sort of person, but it was definitely like tapping into a feeling of community with people I'd never met almost instantly, because it just brings together people with the same intention and the same ideas and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So keen to get juiced off everyone's open, willing, sexy vibes.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time out and all the way from Newcastle. I love that we can all talk wherever we are. We can have a chat and
I know, we're so lucky.
Yeah, definitely. And so I'm going to let you go and just again say thank you very much, and just remind people, if you have any questions, you can get in touch with Siren via her website.
Sendsiren.com. That has my email, that has my socials.
Yep. Or also just, give us you can send me an email as well, or just comment below the post, and happy to answer any questions. But really hope to see you there with us in November, and I will definitely see you there, Siren. So
can't wait.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day.
I will. You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.